Welcome to the Mommy Mentor Podcast. This parenting bullshit is hard, am I right? From sleepless nights with newborns to sleepless nights with teens, from potty training to sending them off to college, I'm here to get you through it all as your mommy mentor. My name is Kennedy-Heldt, and I'm a registered nurse and a mom of 3. I have professional experience with moms and babies as a postpartum nurse, which keeps the postpartum and newborn experience fresh in my mind. And I have 17 years of parenting experience as well. For information on this podcast and more, go to mommymentorpodcast.com. Parents, grab a cup of whatever you prefer and settle in for the next episode. Hello, Mommy Mentor audience. This is Darla Noble. She is an expert in parenting. She has over 40 years of being a wife and mother under her belt. She describes herself as an author, a speaker who loves Jesus, family, homemaking, and gardening. Family, house, home, and the Bible and women's ministry are her passions. She says she is a great storyteller and writer because she has many true stories to tell. So we will dive right in with Darla. Nice to meet you, Darla.
Nice to meet you, and so nice to be here with you and your listeners today.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. So, Darla, I am a parent of teenagers who are just newly graduated high school
Oh,
and
okay.
also turned 18 about a month later.
Okay.
So they're twin girls.
Okay.
And now just started college. So I really resonated with you when you messaged me and said you had been a parent doing this for this many years and that you specialize in parenting and all your beliefs, because I was just like, I think I haven't done an empty nesting episode yet. We should probably cover that. And I thought you would be a great resource for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I just want to say, so many times we talk about how hard it is to get parents through these baby years, or the potty training and the sending them off to school for the first day, in kindergarten, and choosing this and choosing that and deciding, how many extracurricular activities and all that. And not to discount those things as difficult or
Right.
anything, because they can be. But I'm just here to tell you, the letting go and the empty nest thing is so incredibly hard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It is so incredibly hard for ways that you don't really expect, or ways that people don't talk about and
Mm-hmm.
discuss, because I think there's just this thing that, oh, we're the only parents like this. We're the only parents whose kids are doing this and that sort of thing. When you're not the only parent whose kids are going to be potty trained or learn to drive or
Right,
have a
right.
first date and stuff like that. It's so completely different.
Totally.
But yeah, there's a lot of great things about being empty nesters. There really is. But um but they're more personal in nature, as far as you as an individual and you as, as a husband and wife and that sort of thing. But this stage of parenting is probably, well, no, it is the hardest, because it's not even a stage of parenting, it's a stage of transition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I actually started this podcast because I found there's so many things that moms and dads, and mostly moms, aren't talking about, and we beat ourselves up and we
Yes.
think we're the only one, and we're not,
No.
and me being a postpartum nurse, I quickly learned that I am not the only one.
Right.
Every woman almost feels like this after they give birth. It's like immediate mom guilt, and then I'm sure they feel the exact same way I do about everything else.
Yes, it's so true, so true. So I'm going to ask you a question. What has been the biggest, oh my gosh, I didn't think about that, or aha moment in your sending your girls off?
They haven't left home yet, so I have a
Okay.
kind of a smoother transition. They are going to college
Yes.
but living at home, so that gives
Oh,
me some
okay.
baby
Okay.
steps, but they, they're 18 and they think they're adults, and I quickly explain to them that that doesn't mean you're fully developed. Um But I'm like, yes, I know. Yep, you can go do your things, and they're off being independent and have jobs and going to class and driving, and
Mhm, mhm,
I don't
mhm,
always know where they are, that's how it goes. But I think just little things that I'm like, oh, that didn't come up. Like one time Layla deposited a large amount of money into at the bank, and our bank, they have these automated tellers now. So if she was like puts it in the machine, right? And I said, and then she tells me there's a problem and it didn't count it right and blah blah blah, and she had to talk to a bank person and all this. And I'm like, did you count it before you put it in the machine? Well, no, mom, the machine counts it. And I'm like, nope, no, no.
mhm,
We always count our money and be responsible for exactly what we have so that we can be like, no, I know that's how much I had.
mhm, mhm.
So just like little stuff like that that's come up, and I mean, that's not a huge deal because it all got resolved, but like
Sure.
just little things that I'm finding, and I mean, I'm sure there will be many more as
Yes.
we, continue this transition because we're only a few months in. So,
Right, right.
yes, it's and like I said to Maya once, I said, she asked me what time something was at, and I said, it's whatever, it's a quarter past the hour. Or I said, like, it's quarter past four or whatever. She goes, what? And I'm like, 4:15, Maya. A quarter of the hour is 15 minutes. So a quarter past four. She was like, what? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't explained that to you. Like, also, what happened in second grade when you learned how to read a clock? What? So it's just like small
Oh,
stuff, and nothing like huge
yeah,
and tragic, but I'm sure that there will be bigger things
right.
that come up along the way as they get more independent, like especially when they leave home and stuff like that.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
And you brought up a good thing, and you probably didn't even realize you did. But you said, they're off doing their own thing, and and you don't know where they are sometimes, and that's fine. They are 18 and stuff. And then you said she had this problem, and she called or said, "Mom, how do I fix this?" Okay. That's the biggest obstacle in this transition, because they they say, "We're 18, we're adults, we can do our own thing." And that's exactly the way it, until they don't want it.
Right, exactly.
Okay. And you are supposed to be able to be in their hearts and in their minds, whether they, and I'm not saying it's a conscious thing, it's just a subconscious thing.
Hmm.
You're supposed to be at their beck and call and on and off the shelf. When I want help, you need to give it, like now, right now. But
Hmm.
when I don't, you need to just leave me alone and
Right.
let me do my thing. And as moms and dads, that is always going to be that we are always going to want to help our children and give them the guidance and the encouragement and the help however they need it. That's going to be there.
Hmm.
It can't not be. I mean, that's who we
Right. That's what
are,
we do. Hmm.
Yes, yes. But here's where the problem comes in. When you are a parent, from the day you bring that baby home, you are so hands-on. It is a 24/7, you know, total dependency. And
Hmm.
then you kind of wean yourself and them away from being totally dependent as they get into their little preschool and
Hmm.
school and elementary and junior high. And then they get to high school where, yes, you are teaching them to be independent in their thinking and, cooking and not waking them up, making them do their own alarms and
Hmm.
that sort of thing and keep their own schedule. But you are so vigilant. You are so hyper vigilant to know what's going on, um, so that you have a handle on who they are
Right.
as teenagers, because they don't realize how even the slightest little mistake can
Hmm.
change the course of their whole entire life. Now,
Hmm.
that's not to say that we fix all their mistakes and we're coming behind them to keep them from making those
Right.
mistakes. That's not what I'm saying, because we all have to make our own mistakes, but we
Hmm.
are there to pull them back from anything that is life
Like
altering.
detrimental, yes.
Right,
Yes.
right. I mean, and to shield them from those things. That's our job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we would be very remiss and negligent if we didn't. Okay.
Right.
But when they reach that magic age of 18 or that graduation day, they expect us to slam on the brakes, walk away, leave it all, and give them their complete independence until they don't want it.
Right.
And that is so hard
Yes.
to stop, because essentially you can no longer be a parent. You just have to revert to being just quote unquote mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like that's our names, not who we are, kind of a thing.
yes, yes,
Not like
yes,
our whole
exactly.
entire being. It's not, it's like that's your name.
Right,
You know,
right,
like my mom
right.
named me Erin. No, your name is Mom, you know.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And now you do have a little bit of a difference in the fact that they're still living at home. And so
Hmm.
there is this understanding, my roof, my rules to an extent. And
Right.
everybody should be on board with that. Okay. I mean, that's not being an overbearing parent. That's being respected
Well, and
as
this is my
the
home.
yes,
If I were a
yes,
landlord and you lived here, you know, it would be the same
exactly.
story. So yeah,
Yes.
we've had those discussions. Those discussions have happened, and they've wanted to put up boundaries too because they live downstairs together. We have a fully finished basement, so it's got
Oh,
a full
sure.
bathroom and everything. And I kind of purposely put
Gotcha.
that. I put them down
Yes.
there purposely when we moved in here when they were 11, so that they would hopefully stay at home, and it worked. Um, but so they asked us for like boundaries, like, can you please ask us when you're gonna come downstairs? Because like we do have to come downstairs to do the laundry and stuff. And I said, yes, but you have to understand that you will still have to clean the kitchen because you will be using it.
Mhm.
So it was
Mhm.
just like that kind of
Yeah.
discussion. Yep. Mm-hmm. Because you are
Okay,
under my
and
roof.
those yeah, yeah, but it sounds like you're giving them a really good setup, and you're giving them a lot of, important tools to teach them and to give them independence and grace and all that, while still being close enough to teach them some important life skills, like
Right.
okay, like they're down there, they've got their own bathroom and stuff like that. Okay, if you're going to not be involved in all of that, okay, if you're just going down there to do the laundry and
Mm-hmm.
everything, if something breaks in the bathroom, the toilet overflows or the faucet starts dripping and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
it's on them to
I
fix
have
it
not
or
thought
to
about
tell.
that because do you know what? They would be like easily, oh, Dad.
Yeah, okay. And that's okay, but that's when dad says, "Okay, thank you for telling me, because this is my home, and the water bill is on me, or the flooring or something, but I'm not going to just fix it. This is where you learn how to fix it with me, because the next place the landlord may live 10 miles away or
Mm-hmm.
in another town or
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and the repair it may happen on a Sunday afternoon when the repairman ain't going to come right away. So this is how you turn off the water at the main valve. This
Right.
is how you unclog a toilet. This is how you change a faucet. So I hope they realize just how fortunately they are to have this independence in such a great nurturing and learning environment.
Well, I hope so too. That is my goal. It was like to let go, but not have to fully let go so that I can be more aware, and also teach them things that they will need to know when they are out on their own, kind of like you just
Right,
said, like you just gave me
right.
very fantastic ideas.
Well, okay, I was always we farmed for many, many years and stuff, and I mean, we've had a very full life, and I was always home with the kids and managing the farm and all that stuff. But when well, I think Zachary had left home. Okay, and Elizabeth was getting ready, which means left. Anyway, I went to serve I was the youth director at our church, but I also went to serve as an assistant at the campus ministry for one of the major campuses in our state, which happened to be in our small little community.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of the administrator. Well, I was the administrator of the house, and we had 40 boys and, and stuff like that. And so anyway, I cannot tell you the number of times that applicants to the house, their moms would say, well, now, are you going to make sure they take their allergy meds? Or are you going to make sure? Well, nobody lived there. I was there for a few hours every day, but
Right.
these boys lived there on their own and they had their own. I mean, it was a really great setup for them and everything. And I'm like, no.
And they were like independent, like young men, like nothing.
Oh,
They're
yes, yes,
fully,
they were. Yes, they were.
yes.
They had that there were four to a refrigerator, I mean, they each had a certain amount of cabinet space. They
So
were,
they were well set
there was
up.
yeah, it was a fantastic, fantastic situation for them, but it did require a lot of responsibility and self-control and self-management, which,
Hmm.
hello, this is a very elite university. I mean, you you had to be pretty dang smart to get there in the first place.
Right.
Okay, we had a lot
Right.
of bright flight scholars and that
Oh,
sort of
okay.
thing. Okay, yeah. So anyway, but I still had moms, are you going to make sure they take their allergy meds, or who does the laundry, and I'm like, no, I'm not, and they do. And so I'm like, you need to be teaching them and make sure they know how to to cook some basic meals, that they know how to do their laundry, that they know how to, you know, sew on a button, that they are responsible for their own, wake up, go to bed. If they don't go to bed all night because they're playing games, that's on them, not
Hmm.
anybody else, and
Hmm.
that sort of thing. And so you're doing a great thing in giving them that responsibility, but yet at the same time making sure that they're in an environment where they learn these things from people, meaning you and your husband, who really care
Right.
about teaching them the right way to do it.
Right. Right. Yes, that is a very good point. I was setting it up for my own advantages, but I guess it has its
It's
advantages for them
theirs.
as well.
Oh, many, many, many. Yes, yes,
Well, hopefully they will see that when they come to the other side of this, because now they're just,
yes,
I'm 18.
yes.
And I'm like,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. Let me know
All
how
right.
that works out for you.
Yeah, yeah, you have a good time being 18. And I frequently inform them, I'm like, just so you know, they lowered the legal age of adulthood when World War II happened because they needed more
Yeah,
soldiers. So it
yeah,
had
yeah.
nothing to do with actual adulthood.
Yeah, exactly. Your brain doesn't even develop fully till you're like 24, 25. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, but like I said, you are in a great situation and your girls are very, very blessed. And I know you're not the only family that is in that situation, and that's wonderful. But there is going to come a time when they are going to leave, when they are
Mhm.
going to get married and have children of their own, or where they are going to leave and go out on their own, and they're going to make choices and decisions that you would not make for them or want them to make. And it may not be anything, um, it may not be anything that is goes against um, honoring God or anything like that. I mean,
Right.
yeah, they're going to do, some of them are going to do that.
Hmm.
Um, but there's going to be a lot of times when they're going to just make decisions about things like maybe the job they take or the apartment they live in, or the car they buy, or
Right.
the furniture that or
Or
whatever,
the person
or
they're dating.
the person they're dating. Yes, exactly. That you would not want for them, that you can see
Like
the
the writing on the wall, and you're just like
I
waiting for
know,
it to
and
happen.
a train wreck ahead, okay,
Hmm.
and you can see that, but you can't say anything
I know.
unless
I'm not
they
ready.
ask.
I'm so not ready. And I've
Boy,
already had to like not say stuff. I'm like, oh,
right.
this is your life. You
Well,
do that.
I'm just going to tell you, you're doing better than me if
Hmm.
you succeed in not saying it every time,
I mean,
because I have bungled some things big time. I've done a lot of things right, I've done a lot of things right, but I've also made some big boo-boos. I mean, said things that I should have just kept my mouth shut.
Mhm.
Um, and even when they ask, you should know your kids well enough that when they ask, they still don't want to hear what you have to say.
What are they asking for when they ask
Right.
you? Are they
And
asking
I
you?
think
Yeah.
that's yeah, and I think that is where I have made some of my mistakes is the fact that they asked, and so I said, "Okay, you asked, so I'm gonna tell you." And
Mhm.
I knew they weren't ready to hear what they needed to hear or what I had to say,
Mhm.
and I said it anyway. And there have been times when it has caused some major conflict and major
Sure.
hurt. There have been times when I should have backed off and I didn't. And it depends on the child. It really because some kids, it was just so easy for me to back off. Some of our kids, it was so easy because it just was. Sometimes when ones that were always needier or
I
that
was gonna say, I'm sure it depends, like, your
it does
you
depend
know,
on the child.
speaking from your experience going through this now, and you're a grandmother now and everything like
Mhm,
that, so you
mhm.
have experienced your kids moving out, and I have not yet. So from your perspective of moving out, getting married, having kids, because it's already taking like an Excel spreadsheet to get us all five in a room together. So
Right.
it's like,
Right.
how do you handle that transition as a mother when like, I don't know about you, but since I was a little girl, I always wanted to be a mom. And then when I became a mom,
Mhm. Me too.
like I became a mom and yes, I'm a working mother, but I'm a nurse in my profession. So I'm a
Yes.
caregiver as well. So like,
Yes.
it's all I do. Um,
Mhm.
and it's like, how do you cope with that transition of going from that's all you do and that's most of what you are to they are gone and they are off living their own lives and now I'm here and I have to figure out my life, I guess, because I gave up my life for
No.
them.
Yeah, no, that is so, so incredibly true. And I'm like you. I mean, that's all I wanted. I wanted to be a mom and I poured my whole entire self into them. Um, and we were lucky enough to be able to be close enough to some of the grandkids, to where, but even now a lot of them are getting older, and stuff. And so we spend more time traveling to their sports, going to basketball games and track meets and, fairs and stuff like that, than actually them getting to come and spend time with us. But that's all good. That's not a problem. They have moms and dads. They don't need me to mom and dad them because
Hmm.
they
Oh
have
yeah.
great parents.
Hmm.
But the transition is not easy. I'm just gonna be honest, it is not easy, and you have to find something for me, um, this'll sound silly, but n now my husband and I have been able to there are things that we enjoy doing together and stuff, so we have been able to do more of that, but that still he doesn't need a mom, he doesn't need me to nurture him and all that kind
Right.
of stuff like that. For me, it's my my dog, okay?
I was
She and
I
it's
get that.
I'll be very, very honest. Um, I lost her this spring,
Oh
and it was very
gosh.
unexpected and very sudden, and it has been it has been one of the most horrible, horrible things in my
I'm
life.
so
I
sorry.
have lost thank you, because I know she's just a dog, but she wasn't
Oh no,
because she
she's
was
not.
I mean, she was the object of my nurturing and my love, and she gave it right back,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes, they've s I've had someone say, "Well, um, you've lost your dad, you've lost your granny, who was my very best friend and everything," but it was different because they were, Alzheimer's and
It
dementia
was,
and
yes, it was
and
almost their
and it
time.
was like,
Yeah.
yes, it was time, and so it has been a different loss. And so I've just my heart is healing still to where I will probably get another dog because it does fill a void and you have to find something because
Mhm.
whether it be volunteering at school or babysitting or, or doing something like that,
Hmm.
volunteering, at a hospital to rock preemie babies, or,
Hmm.
you've got to find something. And I am a speaker, but there again, that doesn't fill everything, but
Hmm.
you have to find ways. I say you got to brighten the corner where you are. Find that way to share who you are and that nurturing spirit in you and that mothering spirit in you with others, whether it be with children, whether it be with animals, whether it be with elderly in a nursing home, spending time with, there's a lot of people in nursing homes that have no one who comes to
No,
them.
I worked in nursing homes as a nursing assistant. People, if you have time to volunteer and see
Yes,
nursing
yes.
home residents, please do, because they really
Yeah.
don't have people visiting them very often ever. It's very
Right.
sad.
Yeah. And, so you find some way to fill that void. And that doesn't mean you stop being a mom to your kids. But they don't need you that same way. They
No.
need you in a
Hmm.
different way. And you also said something else I want to address. You said it already takes an Excel spreadsheet to get the five of us in the same room. Okay. Now, you got to be ready for that. You got to be prepared for that, that you're those times are going to be few and far
So
between, and
limited.
you can't, yeah, because as they get married, they're going to have other families to do, and you have to be willing to share, you have to be willing to compromise, you have to be willing to face the fact that those things aren't really going to happen very often, and just to treasure that, don't resent the fact that you don't have Christmas dinner on Christmas Day, but maybe once every 10 years, or, or ever, or that you do a middle of the road Thanksgiving, Christmas, because you want your kids and their families to be able to wake up Christmas morning and to enjoy their time, and not, you know, okay, open your gifts now, put them down, we got to get to grandma's, or something like that. I mean, you don't want that for them. You want them to
Right.
be able to make memories of their
It's
own.
still
And
mothering.
yeah,
You're
it
still
is,
taking care of them.
that's, yeah, it is taking care of them in a selfless way. Yeah, that one was hard for me in some ways, not to share with other families. That wasn't hard for me. It was just, it wasn't hard, it was just sad for me to not be able to have everybody together at
All of
times.
the
But
children in the same house at the
yes,
same
yes, it
time.
was
Yep.
just sad, but not hard, because I mean, I wanted them to be able to make their own memories and to do their, I really did. And we have military kids. Our youngest is a Marine wife, and and so they live all over. Well, they were actually here a few weeks ago in transition from one coast to the other,
Hmm.
and in order to see our oldest, sh who was involved in the county fair with his daughter, his oldest daughter, showing, and our kids grew up at that fair, showing livestock and everything.
Hmm.
We went, we were going to go anyway, and Emma said, "Yep, we're all going to go." Well, my son called the other two and said, "Hey, it'd be kind of nice if mom could have everybody here at the fair, all four of us." And we knew we wouldn't get
Oh.
everybody, because two of the spouses had to work. But the
Hmm.
girl said, "Yep, we'll be there." And so the kids,
Oh.
so we had all four of the kids and all nine of the grandkids there that day to help, to cheer Mac on and to help
Yay.
her and to be there and everything. And he didn't make a big deal out of it. I just knew he did it because when the other girl said something, like Zach called and, "Hey, so we can all be together." And even with everything going on, he's like, "Hey, let's get a picture. Let's get some pictures and stuff like that." And
Oh.
this guy who is, doesn't have a lot to say, who's everybody thinks is rough and tough on the, he did that for me. And so that was really
Hmm.
huge, to have that and to have that moment. And right then and there, I decided, if I never have that again, I'm good, because it happened, not because I tried to make it happen, because they saw the specialness of it happening.
Yep.
And so, I knew in my heart something clicked, and I thought, if it never happens again, I'm okay because I didn't have to force it. I didn't have to work toward it. They realized how
Hmm.
special it was to me, and they made it happen. So,
Yeah.
so those are those moments that you realize, okay, I'm good to go.
Right.
I'm
Like
good to go.
and those moments, Darla, I will tell you, at mother to mother mean that you are a darn good mom because they
Oh,
are
I
so
hope.
sweet to realize, to be intuitive enough to know A, that you would love that, B, that how happy it would make you, and
Right,
C,
right.
go the extra mile to make it happen.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It really isn't. And yeah, no, I am far from perfect as a mom and everything, but when I look at them,
Same.
I know, yeah, I I didn't do everything perfectly, but I did more right than wrong because I look at them and see what precious, wonderful people they are. And do they do everything the way I think they should or would wish them to? No, but they're them, not me. And I just keep thinking, do I do everything the way my parents or grandparents would have wanted me to or think I should or made all the decisions? No,
No.
but it's all good. You raise them to be themselves and unique. And, most of all, you give them Jesus and hope and pray they take it. And I remember when Zach, our oldest, was getting ready to leave home. He graduated from high school and he was taking a job out on the road and everything. And this friend of mine at church, he and I had grown up together and everything. And he and his wife, they didn't start having their kids till later. And so he was just on the beginning stages of this
Oh.
parent thing, just just
Hmm.
starting school, kids starting into school and all this stuff. And he goes, "Oh my gosh, is that not just breaking your heart that he is leaving?" And oh, I don't know how, and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of takes your breath away that it goes by so fast. But what would be even sadder for me is if he could never leave
If
home.
he
If
could
he was,
never,
yeah,
yeah.
where he was never going to be independent
Hmm.
and he
Hmm.
could never leave home. And Craig looked at me and he's like, "You know what? I never thought about it like that. Way
Yes.
to go. Way
I,
to go."
yes.
You know? And I'm
Yes.
like, that's, there are worse things. And so
Right. As painful as it is, it's a good and wonderful thing that our children grow up and leave us because that is what they are meant to do as people.
that's our job, is to prepare them for that. Yeah.
Yeah. My mom said, "Rest on your laurels," and I had to first ask her what that means. And then
Shame on you. That's kind of like the whole quarter after it's before.
and then she told me and she goes, "You did a good job. You can rest on knowing you've done it. You've done most of your
Uh-huh.
job." And I'm like,
Mhm.
that is so hard. It's hard to do.
It
Uh,
is. The hardest part of being a parent is to stop being a parent and just being mom or dad.
being
It
being
really,
available to be taken off that shelf and being
yes.
willing to be put back on it.
Yeah, yeah. And there are boundaries, and you have to be willing, okay, here's another old expression. I hope you know what it is you can't have your cake and eat it too.
I do know that, yes.
Okay, okay, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And your kids have to learn that as much or more as you do. Okay,
Hmm.
really that one's for them
Right.
because while you want and need to be available to teach those lessons like the plumbing and the car fixing and the sewing and the grocery shopping and the bargaining and the banking and all that stuff, you
Hmm.
need to be willing and ready to step in and have those conversations. And for those of you who aren't sending them out there just yet, take it from me, do those things while you still have them under your roof.
Hmm.
Take the time and make them take the time to learn these things so that when they mess up, because they're going to mess up,
Yep.
um, just like we did,
Oh
just
yeah.
like their kids will, just like everybody does,
Mm-hmm.
um, so that when they do mess up, you're there to help them correct, okay,
Exactly.
without it being too much of a problem and a catastrophe, and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
um, but yeah, do those things um so that they will be the kind of adults, that they don't have to yank you off the shelf quite so quickly. And I mean, there needs to be some boundaries.
Oh yeah, you can't just be
You
a
know,
like a wet rag or whatever.
no, you
Hmm.
can't. And that's something they're going to have to learn. They want you to give them the grace to be the adult. They need to give you grace to learn how to be so um hands-on in your parenting. That the grace has to work both ways.
Right.
The give and take has to work both ways. And
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely,
So
because we're all learning. Like I've never done this before, and
exactly
they
right.
haven't either. So we're all learning together, kind of.
And I think one thing that I learned that maybe or no, forget the maybe, that I wish I would have learned or whatever sooner is to just be honest about that instead of trying to
Mm,
make, I don't know, I don't think make
just like tell
excuses
them,
for it
I
is
don't
the
know what
right
I'm
way to
doing.
say it,
Yeah.
but just to say, look, you know what? This is new to me too. Okay,
Hmm.
cut me some slack.
Hmm.
I've been here for you 24/7 for the last 18, 17, 18, 19 years.
Hmm.
Cut me some slack. I need to learn how to not do that. So
Right.
I've been patient with you all these years. Please be patient with me.
Good point. Very true. Yes.
It took me a while to figure out that I could say that.
Hmm.
And I could say it needed to be said,
Hmm.
and then, hope that they hear it and
Right.
respond.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Darla, I really appreciate you being on the episode today. You said so many
Thank you.
insightful things, so many
Oh,
things I know that
thanks.
I am
Thanks.
already taking to heart, and my listeners will, I'm sure, take to heart as well. So I
Oh, thank
appreciate your
you.
expertise, and I appreciate you being a guest on the Mommy Mentor.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me. I hope that my been there, done that can help somebody else.
Well, it's helping me already, so I really
All right.
appreciate
Well,
you.
great. Then mission accomplished.
All right. Thank you. You have a wonderful day.
You do the same.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye bye. A Mommy Mentor audience, that was Darla Noble. She describes herself as a Missouri gal through and through who speaks and writes nonfiction to encourage and inspire readers to be their best self. She says she loves Jesus, her family, gardening, walking, healthy eating, history, and dachshunds. She had a lot of great things to say, and I found a lot of the things she said so insightful. I completely relate to that on the shelf, off the shelf analogy she provided for parents of children who are becoming adults. And Darla has a website, it's a blog. It's called Darla's Dash of Salty Grace. And you can find her website at darlasdashofsaltygrace.blogspot.com. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and you can check out more information about Darla on her website. She's also an author of a couple of books. I hope you have time to engage with the Mommy Mentor podcast as well via Instagram, TikTok messaging, or via my website. You can email me directly from my website. The Instagram is at My Mommy Mentor, same for TikTok, and you will find my website at mommymentorpodcast.com. I'm looking forward to more audience engagement. I hope you have time to message or email me. I would love to hear if you have any thoughts on any of my episodes, or if you have ideas and topics you would like me to cover in next episodes. I look forward to hearing from you all. And as always, until next time, mommies, safe parenting out there.